Today, we're discussing an important tool in mental health assessment. Whether you're a student, a mental health professional, or someone that is curious about mental health, understanding the PHQ9 can be beneficial. So let's get started. If you've ever visited your doctor, I hope you have, you would know that when you visit your primary care physician, you're waiting in the waiting room. And one of the first things that they do is when you get there, you sign in and you take your seat in the waiting room. And soon comes the medical assistant that calls your name and bids you to come to the back office or the back room or the examination room. So as you're walking towards the examination room, the medical assistant is making a pit stop somewhere and asking you to get on the scale, and if it applies, they also measure your height. Once you get into the exam room, the medical assistant then proceeds to take your blood pressure, or if it applies, they check your blood sugar or check your vitals, right? Those are the preliminary type of examinations that primary care physicians administer when you go see the doctor. A similar concept applies to mental health. A PHQ9, it is a tool that is used by primary care physicians as well as mental health professionals to check the presence and the severity of depression. It includes 9 questions that are based on the DSM criteria for major depressive disorder. The DSM, for those that are unfamiliar, it is a diagnostic manual that is used by mental health professionals for various mental health issues. Each of the 9 questions on the PHQ9 are used to assess various symptoms that an individual may have experienced over the last 2 weeks. Some of the symptoms that it's checking for is the lack of sleep or excessive sleep, little interest or pleasure in activities, experiencing persistent low mood, or feeling bad about yourself, feeling that you're a failure or that you let yourself or your family down. The list goes on up until the 9 questions. So why is the PHQ9 important? The purpose of the PHQ9 is to help mental health professionals identify the presence of depression, decide on the best course of action for treatment, and also monitor the treatment process. So let me break it down. You might be meeting with a mental health professional like myself for the first time. Whether you have already completed it on your own, that is the PHQ9, or it's clinician assisted, meaning that you're sitting in the office with a mental health professional and they're going through the questions with you. It would go a little bit something like this. I will talk to clients about, what's going on with them. After, the pleasantries, we'll also go into, so now I'll be asking you questions about symptoms that you've experienced over the last 2 weeks. So you will let me know how often you're experiencing the symptoms. Over the last 2 weeks, how often have you experienced a little interest or pleasure in doing things? The response can range from 0, which signifies not at all, to a 3, which signifies that the individual is experiencing the symptoms nearly every day. We will then go through the 9 questions and then tally up the scores, and that will let me know whether this is a case of where there isn't depression present, or if the depression is mild, if it's mild to moderate, if it's severe. That gives me an idea of where the individual falls as it relates to the severity of the depression. At the end of the screening, the individual's answer gives a cumulative score that helps guide further evaluation and treatment. The score can range from a 0 to a 27, with higher scores indicating a more severe depression. An important note: regardless of how a person scores with all of the first 8 questions, if there's any degree of a positive response to question number 9, it needs to be explored further. Remember that the PHQ9 is a screening tool and it's just one step in understanding a person's possible mental health condition. And comprehensive care requires oftentimes a more in-depth evaluation and assessment, which should only be provided by a licensed mental health professional. That wraps up this quick overview of what is the PHQ9. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time in the next video. Take care and God bless.